You're under arrest for fishing without a license. Hand over your rod and follow me. What are you doing? You can't fish here. Get out.
Funny, I recently purchased this lake.
What are you doing? You can't fish here. Get out. That's the first thing Lennox Harwood heard before he even got the chance to cast his line. And the funniest part, the woman barking at him didn't own a single splinter of that shoreline, but she sure strutted down the path like she was the queen of Pinewater Lake. Now picture this. Warm afternoon breeze, sunlight skipping across the water, Lennox standing on his dock with the sleeves of his black t-shirt rolled up, finally ready to relax, when a woman with a clipboard and an extra-large serving of ego comes marching like she's leading a parade no one asked for. Her name? Valerie Thorne, HOA president, self-appointed lake sheriff, professional snitch, and today, apparently, the human embodiment of "I said so." Before Lennox even glanced over his shoulder, he heard her sharp footsteps, the kind that always came with trouble. "You can't fish here unless you've paid this month's HOA fees," she snapped, chin raised, like she expected trumpets to play behind her. Lennox didn't even bother turning fully. "Valerie, this is my shoreline access. You don't get to dictate what I do on my own property." You would have thought he slapped her with a wet fish. Her whole face tightened. Neighbors started peeking out from porches, whispering, filming, because everyone knew Valerie loved an audience the way mosquitoes love ankles. Then she escalated. Then she over-escalated. Then she launched straight into delusion. She jabbed a finger at him, ranting about dues he didn't owe, rules he wasn't breaking, and how he thought he was above the community. And then, the twist nobody expected, she whipped out her phone, punched in 911, and with trembling fury screamed into the speaker, "Send a unit immediately. There's a black man trespassing on HOA property and refusing to leave. Arrest him." Yeah, she really said that. But here's the real suspense. Lennox didn't flinch, didn't panic, didn't even argue, because the truth, the one Valerie prayed no one would ever see, was tucked neatly inside the leather folder waiting in his truck. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you're watching from, and make sure to subscribe to Silent Divide Tales because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. The police cruiser rolled down the gravel road exactly the way Valerie Thorne always and it would when he handled a situation. She ran toward it waving both arms like she'd survived a natural disaster. "That's him," she shrieked. "He's breaking HOA rules and using the lake without authorization." Lennox Harwood stayed planted on the dock, hands relaxed at his sides, the calmest man within a 5-mile radius. And honestly, that calmness irritated Valerie more than anything he could have said. Neighbors kept filming, some whispering, some wide-eyed, because they knew, Valerie was about to embarrass herself again, and they didn't want to miss the season finale. The officers approached, one older, stocky with graying hair, the other younger with a raised brow like he didn't want to be here. "Sir, she's claiming you're trespassing. Do you live here?" Valerie shoved herself between them before Lennox could answer, practically vibrating. "He doesn't own anything here. He refuses to pay dues. He's squatting. Arrest him." Her voice cracked, and that alone was a warning sign. But here's the twist. Lennox didn't argue. He simply said, "Do you want the short explanation or the full picture?" The younger officer folded his arms. "Let's start with the short one." And Lennox nodded, calm, centered, then walked toward his truck. Valerie lost her mind. "Where are you going? Stop him. He's going to make up documents," she screeched, pointing wildly like she was calling out demons at a revival service. Neither officer budged. Lennox opened the passenger door, pulled out a thick leather folder, and placed it on the hood of the cruiser with the same energy as someone placing a royal decree. When he opened it, notarized deed records glowed in the sunlight like they'd been waiting for this exact moment. "This dock," he said evenly, "this shoreline, this lake access, all legally mine." The younger cop leaned in. "These are notarized." Valerie's jaw dropped so hard it practically echoed. "No, no. Those are fake. He printed them off the internet." But the officer shook his head. "Ma'am, these are legitimate." And just when everyone thought that was the bombshell, Lennox calmly set a second sealed envelope on the hood. Valerie froze like someone had pressed pause on her entire soul. Inside that envelope, let's just say it was the beginning of the end. The moment the younger officer picked up that second envelope, Valerie Thorne's entire body stiffened like someone had unplugged her from reality. "Don't you open that," she barked, her voice suddenly high, brittle, panicked. "He stole HOA documents. Arrest him." But it was too late. The officer had already slid the papers out. Neatly organized printouts, transaction logs, withdrawal records, screenshots of purchases that had absolutely nothing to do with the community budget. And Lennox? He didn't say a word. He didn't have to. His silence was louder than Valerie's meltdown. "For months," Lennox finally said calmly, "neighbors have been sending me anonymous tips, sudden dues increases, emergency fees nobody approved, maintenance budgets disappearing." He pointed at the papers. "So I looked deeper." Valerie let out a laugh, or something desperately pretending to be one. "He's forging everything. This is ridiculous." But her voice shook so violently it sounded like something inside her was crumbling. The younger officer lifted a page and his whole expression changed. "Ma'am, these are bank statements showing thousands of dollars withdrawn under your authorization." And that was the moment the crowd snapped. From porches and sidewalks came the voices. "She charged us for that fake walkway repair. My dues went up 30%. She said the community cameras broke. Did she keep that refund too?" Valerie spun around in circles, frantic, pointing at every neighbor like she expected someone to rescue her. "He's manipulating you. He's turning you all against me." But the officer cut in sharply. "Ma'am, this looks like embezzlement of HOA funds." Valerie froze mid-breath. Her shoulders trembled. Her eyes darted wildly. And Lennox stepped forward just enough for his presence to settle the chaos. "You fined people," he said evenly. "You threatened seniors over mailbox colors. Meanwhile, you were remodeling your kitchen with their money." The crowd gasped. Valerie snapped. She lunged toward the folder in a blind panic, shrieking, "It's all lies! Let me see it! Let me see it!" Both officers grabbed her instantly. She kicked, fought, twisted, her shoes scraping across the dock. But Lennox didn't move. And that was when the younger officer delivered the blow that cracked the whole scene open. "Ma'am, you filed a false police report and you're under investigation for financial fraud. You are not in a position to demand anything." Her face collapsed. Her voice broke. And the neighbors' disbelief turned into full outrage. And what happened next? Nobody saw coming. The dock fell into a stunned silence. Then everything exploded at once. Neighbors who'd spent years tiptoeing around Valerie Thorne finally let loose. "She stole our dues. She threatened to fine me over my shutters. She lied about the community fund." Phones went up. Cameras rolled. Every angle captured Valerie's meltdown as she writhed in the officer's hands like she was trying to fight gravity itself. The older cop began reading her rights, but she shouted over him, voice cracking into jagged pieces. "You don't understand. I did everything for this community. Everything." Yet even as she screamed, they guided her toward the cruiser. The same cruiser she demanded for Lennox Harwood just minutes earlier. Her shrill pleas echoed across Pinewater Lake, bouncing off the calm water like a final desperate warning from someone who realized too late that her power was only ever pretend. The door slammed. The cruiser pulled away. And the moment the siren faded down the gravel road, the entire crowd exhaled. A slow ripple of applause started from one porch, then another. Then the shoreline lit up with cheers, claps, whistles, years of silent frustration finally breaking free like a dam. Lennox didn't raise his hands or take a bow. He just stood there, steady and grounded, the evening sun catching the calm lines of his face. For the first time in a long time, Pinewater Lake felt like a community again, not a kingdom ruled by fear and fines. Neighbors gathered around him, not nervously, but gratefully. "No more intimidation," Lennox said, his voice clear and firm. "No more fake fees, no more bullying. This place belongs to the people who live here." A wave of agreement rolled through the crowd. Later that night, Lennox sat at the edge of his dock. The lake was quiet. The chaos was gone, and the truth finally stood taller than every lie thrown at him. Real power isn't loud. Real power doesn't scream. Real power stands firm, especially when someone tries to strip it away. And nobody, not an HOA title, not fake authority, not a desperate woman with a clipboard, gets to take a man's peace, dignity, or land. Not today. Not ever. If this ending gave you even a little bit of justice satisfaction, tap follow and subscribe to Silent Divide Tales, where we turn real-life chaos into stories that hit back twice as hard.